Talking Projects.
Okay.
Are those like the tube thingies that suck up the ghosts?
The tube thing? No. Well, in the parlance of the ghostbusting world, the basic ecto-containment system is the sap 'em, cap 'em, and trap 'em. All right? You hit them with the particle thrower to drain them of PKE energy. You capture them with the capture beam from the gun, and then you trap them with one of the traps. All right? In other words, that means shoot them and then put them in the box. See, that's the Star Trek thing.
How inclusive are the kids, and then what sort of things can you do outside of the kids to save?
It really depends. Well, it depends on obviously on your ability, your electrical engineering knowledge, and the kit. There are basic kits that are lights and basic sounds. There are kits that are a little bit more expansive. Almost every kit will have basic lights, all right? Because the LEDs more or less are the easiest part of it. A simple sequencer and a couple of standards, right? The amount of sound depends on the amount of juice you're going to be putting into it and what kind of amp you want to run it, which basically means if you want to get a kit amp, $10, $15, $20 from say Al, you can run a really good speaker from it. If you want to rattle windows and deafen the neighbors and make everyone hate you in the room, you're going to be spending a little bit more because you're going to need more juice. You're going to need a bigger amp. I have a car amp in there that will allow me to run off a 12-volt battery. It's a car battery. It's a small car battery, but it's a car battery. All right. Other questions?
So you're talking to the kids about the internal parts of electronics and stuff. What about the external parts, like the hoses?
The hoses?
Ribbon cables,
For that,
tubes?
well, ribbon cables, depends on the ribbon cable. The second movie used Spectra cables, and those are really widely available for $10. It's really fairly simple. The first movie had custom-laid cabling, and they actually used a combination of phone cable and basic red, blue, whatever cables that they custom laminated and used in the packs. Those you're going to spend $50. Because it's a custom thing and it's not made for anything else but Ghostbusters. It's that old situation where, like the original lightsabers in Star Wars were made from the flash bulbs of old cameras. To a camera enthusiast, that stick is worth $10, brand new, perfect condition. To a Star Wars enthusiast, it could be beaten up and still worth hundreds, right? It's the case of no one else is going to use that cabling, so they know you will buy it, so they will charge you more.
All right,
but
you want to take that off?
are you good with it? Okay. If it gets too much, you let us know. It's okay. No, she wants to live the dream for just a little bit longer. Other bits from the external of the pack can be found, some of them simply, like this is split loom tubing. It's available almost anywhere. Canadian Tire, almost anywhere. Pneumatic tubing, again, you can get those fairly easily, but some of the external parts are custom orders. For example, the Clippards. All right, Clippard still makes these. You can get these. You can also get resin copies that are cheaper, right? Some of the other externals, thank you. Some of the other externals are basic. Some are, again, when you are ordering online, most places will offer you either a complete kit, a selection of parts, resin or aluminum, or you can start talking into making your own. If you want to make your own, there are plans out there on the interwebs where they have every measurement, every dimension. All you have to do is follow them. You could literally take them to a machine shop and say, these, and here is my wallet. Goodbye, baby. But they are out there. It really depends on the level of involvement you want to have with it and the amount of money and time you're willing to spend on it. Again, that two separate poles of authenticity and money. Any other questions? I answered that. Yeah. You.
Riley,
And you're next, and then you.
You were saying your pack has a 12-volt battery. Is there other types of batteries you can use?
Absolutely. I used a simple nickel nickel battery because it was readily available, it holds a good charge, and it's easy to recharge with very little danger. Most lithium-ion batteries, which are what are in cell phones and large electronic devices these days, will hold a bigger charge, but they're also very careful. You have to be very careful when you're charging them because they do have an explosive potential. That is part of the reason that you can't get them shipped over the border, right?
I've tried.
Shh, it's on camera! But it really depends on again, what you're looking for and what you can get out of it. And for most people, the simple alkaline batteries will be enough. For some others, it might be a little bit more. You might want a little bit more juice. How you doing?
Take it off.
Yes, you All right, we're going to undo this.
And just going back to what Bradley was saying about the
And I'm
ribbon
going to
cable.
pull this off. How's that?
The difference between the GB1 and GB2. The one on this particular pack here is the closest to like the first movie one. Once he gets a chance to
It's all
turn
right.
it around for you.
There we go.
So turn it
No,
around.
no, stay up, stay up.
Yeah.
I'll put it. Yep, go ahead. Finish the
Yeah,
top.
so if you look at Briley's pack here, this is more or less what the GB1 cable looks like. So it's got like the different colors. And the GB2 cable is a lot like this one here. And
Yeah.
like he was saying, this one is a lot cheaper and a lot easier to come by.
Details, if you want to spend the money, you will have them. If you do not, maybe you don't need them. I promised him, and then I'll come back to you. And then I swear we have to move on with it.
Is the casing coming in the kits, or is that something people are doing themselves?
The outside fiberglass casing?
Yeah, pretty much like the whole shell.
The shells are either sold separately or they can come with a kit. Shells can either be made out of fiberglass or resin. There has been some talk of aluminum, but it's a very large aluminum thing to do. Not every machine shop has enough to take a slab of aluminum and turn it into that. So it's probably something that's going to be a while away. For your weight to strength ratio, fiberglass is probably your best option. There's some pulled plastic as well, just vacuum formed plastic. That's easily the cheapest, and it's all right. It's durable. It's about a CD case, if you remember what CDs are. But it is plastic. It'll melt in heat. It'll crack if you put a lot of pressure on it, that kind of thing.
Can handle the weight.
Oh yeah, I had a pulled plastic on that when I was younger, less gray. But yeah, they're out there. Again, it depends on how much you want to spend, where you're looking. All right.
Have you tested it in the rain yet?
Yes.
Yes.
Couple of parades.
Yes.
We've had a couple of outdoor events like that, and mine so far is still running. I'm very happy with it. I was very, very careful about mounting the electronics in there so that little rainwater wouldn't get on it.
One important thing about the rain, actually, that actually helps a lot, was with the labels, a lot of people worry about, obviously if these get wet, they start to run or the labels get damaged. We actually had our labels made of vinyl, and that actually helps a lot. It repels the water, and you won't see.
Most printing places will do that if you
Yeah.
ask.
And it's very cheap. Like I had them made for like $5.
All right. All right. Any other questions before we move on? You had one more.
Sure. So, essentially, you would end up with a fiberglass shell, the backpack straps, and then you end up buying all the other bits to put on it.
You would buy the other bits to put on it. It helps with shipping and the odd shape of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you would end up doing that.
From my end of things, who is someone who is incapable of doing those sorts of things, well, I could, but it wouldn't be as good as I wanted it to be. My pack, which is not up here, but if you want to swing by the booth, I can show you my pack. I paid $16.50 for my pack. The guy who makes it now sells it for $18.50. That's light, sound, the whole gear. You can make it yourself for much cheaper. I've seen them on. There's one guy who consistently sells them on Etsy for about $9. Again, I've never seen it up close. I don't know for sure, and I don't have the eye that these two kind of do. And this was before I was with the Ontario Ghostbusters. It was kind of like I went through this thing where I'm like, I want to be a Ghostbuster, and I kind of started like, holy cow, there's an Ontario Ghostbusters. So a lot of people go the other way, but I sort of started that way.
For me, it was a little different. I had been talking about doing a proton pack for years after building other people's props, and finally my best friend said, Bradley, shut up and do it or shut up. And I did it. And it was great. All right, we should move on a little bit, and then we'll have questions at the end, so if you have more questions, just remember, and we'll keep
Being
going.
very patient, thank you.
So much. We go on. So next is the traps. All right, can I start?
Yeah.
All right, basic trap, look at that. All right, once again, with the traps, we are coming into almost something of a renaissance with these. These are more readily available now than almost ever before. Maddie has put out a couple of traps, much like the PKE meters, of varying qualities. Some of them are really good. They will hang, they will look very nice, they will have lights and sounds and the doors open and all of that. But they are also plastic. And if you want something that's a little bit more real, you're gonna have to look into making it yourself. Thank you very much.
So we meant to grab a Maddie trap up here. All these are props. They're not. We don't have a Maddie one up here, but again, swing by our booth and you can kind of see them side by side.
So, 8 basics. Yeah, that's how you know it's real. Ah, well.
Hold on here for a second. I'm going to put a trap on your belt here just to kind of show them. Is this step forward there?
So, the traps are made of 2 parts, the pedal, which is actually a converted foot pedal from a guitar setup, and the actual box. All right? For the box, if you are looking to make your own, again, there are kits for the body that will have everything. You're probably looking to spend about $300 to $600 on that. Sometimes it's aluminum, sometimes it's resin. That would be the difference between $300 and $600. The kits that will come with this are a little bit more electrically intensive than the packs, just because of the comparative rarity of people who want to make a trap that fully opens, closes, lights, sound, than the people who want to make a fully working pack.
Just one thing, just before, I was going to clip this on just to kind of show you just how it hangs and whatnot. And one neat little additional features, you can get some that can actually slide right out. So it's like more movie authentic as you load it in, you go put another one and away you go. So that was a nice bonus feature. Again, this is one I purchased from eBay, from a seller, and I really like that feature for authenticity. Not that anyone ever actually sees it, but I know it's there.
So the rumble on the back of the pack.
Yeah.
No one knows it's there but you, and you'll giggle like a schoolgirl every single time.
Again, once it clips on, very important that you strap it in and that you have the V-clip really well attached. As you notice, mine's a little smashed up here because my V-clip wasn't really attached and I didn't have this on and everywhere. So that's
And his heart broke a little bit that day.
A little bit.
All right. Do you have any more you'd like to add?
And with the trap, this is our basic stunt trap, and this is the one that we usually wear around a lot on the belts and stuff. This one here can take a bit more punishment. I've dropped it. I've taken out drywall with it. I've done quite a few things with it. Yeah, and it's still going strong. And you know, it's got a basic light kit in it, which are pretty well
You're not sleeping
available.
with it, are you, right?
At first I did, I'll be honest, but yeah. And this one here, it's got like the metal side plating, which is really cool too, instead of like the resin. But like Bradley was saying, it all depends on what you want to spend. And when you're looking at the hose for the trap, you can start out with your basic air hose couplings. You can find these at Brafasco. I don't know if Canadian Tire carries them. I got them at Brafasco. The actual hose, this is a fuel line hose. And I got this at, believe it or not, I got it at Rona. And but you can get them at car part suppliers. And if you don't want to go this route with the actual fuel line hose, you can go with the other type hose that we have there, which is it's
another split loop?
Yeah, but it's a smaller size split loom, which is a lot cheaper and probably easier to get to feed the wire through. But yeah, that's basically.
All right, so now we're coming to some of the lesser known, lesser done props, the Ecto goggles. All right, in the movie, these were basically a German night vision goggle set that had stickers put on, and that was the big change. They actually had 2 different focal lenses, but those both came with a model of night vision goggles that they were using. All they did was put one on and not the other one. That was it, right? But because this is actually military hardware, it can be a little hard to get the actual night vision goggles, and unless you feel like blowing out your retinas, don't actually get night vision goggles unless you know how to use them. But Maddie has come out with a couple of goggles, a version of this for a reasonable amount of money. There are resin kits out there, but those will take a little bit more engineering knowledge to put together. Okay? Feel like putting them on?
Take off my hat.
It's up to you. You have a logo on your hat? It's a whole cross. TARDIS and Ghostbusters. I could get behind it. How's that? It's good?
Gives you meaning to who you're gonna call.
All right, and finally, our last table prop is the slime thrower from the second movie. All right? This, along with a lot of stuff in the second movie, was all custom made for the movie because they had money for the movie on that one. Go figure. All right? It's all made out of spun steel, spun aluminum, and it's expensive for that. This is easily one of the most expensive and least done props in all of the Ghostbusters universe. But if you have mastered the proton pack, if you've blown through the trap, if you are making goggles left and right like John Woo's doves, you might be looking into this. All right. Once again, there are plans out there for this, so it's not like you're reinventing the wheel. And there are electronics kits out there, so it is even a little bit easier than that. But easily speaking, you are looking for the most labor-intensive work you can do, both in terms of your wiring and your electrical, and in terms of your basic fabrication. All right?
We actually had to get an entire unit, like the tanks, everything. We had to get it ready for a show that we were doing. Briley and I built an entire slime blower in 3 days. And we put in hours and
And then we slept so much. And it was the best sleep ever.
He spent the night in my garage.
Asleep.
Which was actually an upgrade from where he usually lives.
There was heat. It was awesome. I was warm for a bit.
So we've got her outfit here. I think we need to give her a little bit of a break here.
Yeah.
So let's give her a big round of applause. We'll get these two there, and please make sure you swing by our table. We'll get you some treats for helping us out there. So that was a greatly appreciated there.
All right, so we have 20 more minutes left in the panel while the boys are helping her out of this. Question time.
One of the big painting from Ghostbusters too. Have you
At
ever
our
made
booth.
one of those?
We have one at our booth.
Right now.
Oh,
Come on by.
that one.
That one. Don't look into his eyes.
Vigo.
So much trouble.
Question, sorry, go ahead.
Do you have a good place to go for the coveralls?
For the coverall, for the overalls,
Yeah.
Army Navy deals online, very reasonable rates, very reasonable coveralls. It really kind of depends on the amount of authenticity you like. The ones that we're wearing and that Cam's wearing are from there. Really, really good deal. Not very expensive. Look really nice. They're not exactly right to what was used in the film.
Yeah,
Because
what
these
you-
are stock made stuff versus actual military grade coveralls. If you want actual military grade coveralls, you're probably going to look to around the $100-$150 mark, right? And that's before you add anything in. So, Army Navy deals is probably your best start. If not that, eBay.
And they're a Canadian site too, so
Yeah.
the shipping is
So
very
shipping's
good.
reasonable.
Yeah.
Is there a reason you guys deviated from like the tan color?
From why we're doing the blue today? Well, we flipped a coin. Usually at conventions, usually at conventions, if you have the option of going one or
Okay.
two, then what will happen is we say, okay, Friday we'll do khakis, and Saturday we'll do blues, and then Sunday we'll do whatever. Again, to help promote that uniformity. It's not something we enforce, like, you must be in blue, and if you don't have blue flight suit, you will be thrown out and tarred and feathered. It's one of those things where, look, we want to promote a more uniform look, but if you don't have it, as long as you have one of the set standards, you are so fine, as much as we would like you to have, right? But that's the reason why we're in blue and Cam's in tan. All right?
Question, is the flight suit of a certain age? Like, were they using, because I know that the Navy went through a couple of different iterations of the flight suit.
Most of the changes haven't been all as big as wouldn't be so big that they would be obvious, so that they will work just fine. And again, eBay for this, because they are selling off the flight suits of the 80s and 90s because they just mass produce them, right? Of course, as time goes on, they get a little harder to find, but still, it's not as hard to get as some of the other bits. For the second movie, they actually had the flight suits custom made, and the company that did that is still around, and you can still get them made. They will still make you the exact same flight suit they made for the movie. You will spend $300 on it, but you will have the pride of saying you are wearing the exact same flight suit. And to be fair, in this group, you will have a lot of people going, well, now I've got to spend $300. But yeah, it's one of those things about how much you want to spend and what is valuable to you on it.
Yeah.
But for certain, it is out there. There are the option, right?
Now, we may have dashed some of your hopes a little bit when we're talking about big money, spending, holy cow, these things are expensive. However,
And they are.
And they are. They're, it's an expensive hobby. However, there is a very cheap, very simple way to get a proton pack.
These days.
Until the end of August. The Ontario Ghostbusters are running a proton pack raffle to benefit Sick Kids Hospital. So if you're like, I don't want to invest, if you want to invest maybe $10 to buy a ticket, $20 to buy 3 tickets, or $50 to buy 10 tickets, you can swing by our booth, and all those proceeds are going to help Sick Kids Foundation. We're doing the draw and the Sunday of Fan Expo. So
Can you tell he said that before? Sound a little well rehearsed. I guarantee you guys, even if you spend $50 or $100 and get a proton pack, you will still be getting the most cost-effective pack in the world.
And even if you don't, you just gave $100 to the Sick Kids Hospital, so
You get to feel good about yourself.
It's a win-win situation.
Yeah.
We're just about out of time here. Any final questions?
And then you're next.
How does somebody get involved with the Ontario Ghostbusters if they want to join your cause? It's
Get us
a great
coffee.
cause, by the way.
So much coffee.
It's so much coffee.
Your first step would be to go online. We are going to have a charter of what we're about, what the basic requirements are. Check it out. See if we are a match for what you expect to do with us. And if then it is, contact us. Come to us at a convention. Contact us on Facebook. Let us know, and we will respond in kind, right?
And we're not necessarily a closed group, but we're always welcoming, and maybe we'll start out with a one-day 80s toy show, just to see, kind of try things out kind of thing before we move on to 4 days of Fan Expo kind of thing when you're working at the table and whatnot. And that's the thing, it is not, we're here primarily as entertainment for the guests. We're part of the costuming community. We're a loss leader for these conventions. We don't have to pay to be here. We're part of the attraction, so we have to make sure that we're putting on a great show for the guests. And so that's one of the big focuses of that.
If we're not entertaining, if we're driving folks away, then we will be in trouble.
Yeah, it's not just about getting into a con for free kind of thing. And that's why you want to join, then yeah. All right. Oh, we're getting the axe. So
Yeah.
please swing by our table.
If you have more questions, come by the table and ask, and we'll have as much time as we can to answer them. Thank you. I hope you enjoy. We're a lovely audience.